Black and Tan is a podcast that explores the intricacies of today's fast-moving world. Hosted by Pedro Silva, an African-American advocate for social equity, and Alan Ohashi, a Japanese-American with a passion for cross-cultural engagement, the show offers insightful discussions designed to inspire personal change. Through engaging conversations, Black and Tan offers listeners practical advice and eye-opening perspectives on how to better understand others.
This is our last one. And
Oh,
so
wow. We're already at the last episode.
the last one, number 6. And so it's supposed to be kind of like be a summary of what we've talked about before. And that's one of the reasons I went to your meeting yesterday, because I thought it would be maybe good information for kind of pull everything together.
Hmm.
And it was quite kind of a mishmash of information from the woman and the other guy, the guy
Yeah.
from your group.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't from my group. We just happen to have a similar name.
Oh, similar name.
Yeah. Too many people are called Unify something. So ours is YOUNIFY, and then his is hashtag Unify USA. And there's also a Unify America
Oh,
and another regular Unify, three Unifies that are just Unifies, two spelled like us, and one spelled like just the regular way you spell the word Unify. So it's a word that people are using.
well, no wonder nothing's getting done.
I know, right? I know. We got to change our name.
Change your name or change your logo or something. I know.
Yeah, we got to call ourselves the Apocalypse Slayers or something. I don't know what.
Well, anyway, let's get started here.
Yeah.
This is our last episode, episode 6 of Black and Tan for this iteration of our podcast, and I'm Alan Ohashi, and I'm here with my friend and colleague Pedro Silva. And over the last 5 weeks, we've been talking about various kinds of beer, from Budweiser to Modelo to Black and Tans to uh, branding of various kinds of beers. And now we're going to try to pour them all into one bucket and kind of do a mixture and try to figure out what it all tastes like. So just kind of summarize what
Interesting
we had
metaphor.
talked about over the past 5 weeks. That one idea was that we really weren't going to get that political and really talk about kind of underlying approaches that people could use, regardless of your political persuasion or
Hmm.
your I guess
Affiliation.
your affiliations and leanings and whatnot. So, what's your takeaway from the past 5 times?
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, I just enjoyed being up here with you and just laughing about stuff and about humanity and being American and but coming from the our different persuasions while we're looking at a world that, I mean, essentially, America wasn't made for us. It wasn't made for the black and tans, you know. Or I should say, it was not shaped for the black and tans because we know that much of what we see here has come at the expense of a lot of other people, and it's just interesting to just kind of hold space with you about all the different things while simultaneously, just being regular guys, whatever that means. So it's just been cool to hang out and get to know you better and hear some of your stories and share some stories and laugh and just kind of be at ease while the world is burning around us.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I've enjoyed talking to you because, for one thing, I don't get a chance to talk to people who don't look like the dominant culture. I go to this exercise class over at the rec center, and there's maybe two brown skinned people who are in this class of maybe 60 people. And just where I live, there's 28
right,
people, 30 people, and I'm the only one that's not like everybody else, at least on the outside. But
right,
I agree with you totally there about we really don't, the country really didn't expect to run into people or have to deal with people who look unlike their Western European counterparts. And
yeah,
I think that's one of the things that I've had to, we maybe both of us have had to deal with is, having to deal with this country that was kind of founded on meanness and founded on
Exploitation.
exploitation and people starting from whenever it was 1620s or the 1580s or whenever it was that the first Africans were brought over here to
Oh yeah,
decrease the cost
1619.
of goods, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And and every person that they for a long time that they ever I would call it welcome, except for it wasn't a welcome. Every person that they allowed, I guess, to be here is like or tolerated. It was because of what they could get out of them or what they thought they could extract from them and just bring the extraction closer to home. Meanwhile, kind of having like this mass propaganda that we're the place of liberty and freedom and all that other stuff. And now we know that the significant backlash of a lot of people is like, hey man, this is our country. We stole this fair and square. you know, it's I mean, it gets increasingly comical to me. I don't know if it's because I'm getting. I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and you never know, how much longer you're gonna be here anyway. So I'm just watching it like, wow, man, like these fools. It's an interesting. It's like watching a show. It really feels like I've been watching a show for damn near 50 years, and watching it like how when a show you start watching it and it's pretty interesting and you get invested in the characters and then there's so much drama and then the show kind of goes on and then you could tell the show's about to get canceled because they can't get creative anymore, so they start going back to the stuff from the first season and you're just like, oh geez, man, this is kind of boring show, man. They're repeating stuff from the first season and and you just kind of don't know what's what's gonna go down, but you just kind of like almost like, I want to see it through, but I'm also gonna be glad when this show gets canceled because they're not getting too creative anymore. That's how I feel about this about America right now. It's just like, you know, I came in on the tail end of the civil rights movement in the 70s, and then and now we're like wrapping back around where we're gonna need like another Martin Luther King or somebody like that. And yeah, it's weird.
That's true. There aren't any real charismatic leaders anymore.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to, like you were talking about, there's all these groups called Unify, and
yeah,
everybody's kind of scrambling around on the floor for the same scraps that fell off the table
yeah,
and trying to, make heads or tails out of how they're going to change the world. And,
yeah.
you know, um, I watch you ever watch that TV show called Yellowstone with Kevin Costner in it? And
Nah, I haven't.
he's this patriarch guy, the latest patriarch of the Dutton family in Montana, and
Yeah,
he was talking about fairness, and he says there's no such thing as fair. He says
right.
that fairness is basically rich people giving up enough to keep the other people happy, and so there still ends up being this notion of superiority ultimately wins out, and the,
Yeah,
the few end up going away with thinking that they got something out of the deal, but they really didn't get anything out of the deal. And I think it seems like
right.
that's kind of what's been going on these days is just kind of resurrected the old Wild West American way.
Yeah, something like that. I haven't seen the show. I like Kevin Costner, but I am intentional about what I watch of his because I mean I don't know him as a person obviously, but I know he has a romanticism with like cowboy westerny type feels, and that's nice. I don't give a crap though. It's not my jam. It's not my jam. I just kind of go like, oh okay, I watch some stuff, but yeah, I think like some of that like television kind of stuff is really what has severely messed up a lot of white guys is like they've been overrepresented in television as being heroes and all these other things. And so they kind of feel some obligation to show up in the world as some kind of pioneering hero, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if those days ever existed, they're gone. But these guys long for their chance to be some kind of hero or whatever. And the fact is, man, I mean, those days, like I said, they're gone. And a bigger hero would be somebody who can look inside of their own soul and understand who they are, how they function, and how they can be a contribution to the world. And so many of them fake being Christians, which is also super hilarious because they're nothing like Jesus whatsoever. But they instead of being like Jesus, they trying to turn Jesus like them and be like, what's the least I could do to still call myself a Christian? And then they just pretty much do that. So it's like I don't. It used to make me sad because I believed that they were sincere and just were having a hard time living into what they professed. But now I'm like, oh, these guys, they are not even serious. Like, you know what I mean? Like most of my close, like it's very interesting because I told you I grew up around fundamentalist Christians, and in the military I was around a bunch of white guys. A lot of them were fake Christians, and it's very interesting at this stage in my life to be able to go like, wow, I was fooled for a very long time. And I feel that's why I don't even get mad. I'm not even 100% mad at them for being like MAGA brained because in so many ways I was indoctrinated as well in terms of believing that they were just like trying really hard, but just the world just got to them, and it's like just pray for them, now I'm just like, oh, I was tricked. It's okay.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah,
that's where I am now.
at least the fake Christians just kind of hang around with each other, and
Yeah.
it's not like they're trying to infiltrate actual Christianity. So
Nah.
it's again, I think it's just another sign of the polarization
Yeah.
that we're experiencing right now. Not only are the fake Christians, they're the ones that are on TV and the ones that are rolling in
Yeah.
money, and then the more Orthodox Christians are still having to scrap and scrape and losing members
Right.
to their church, for
Yeah.
church, and it's
Yeah. It's almost you could tell a church is on the right track if there's almost nobody there.
yeah. I went to this Methodist church over there on Glenwood and 19th Street, and that went out of business because
Yeah.
they couldn't sustain the or couldn't make a case for keeping the church around. Although there were probably 30 or 40 people came regularly, but that still wasn't enough for
Right.
sustainability. It was having to.
Yeah. 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 They're like the churches of Jesus are just like church Jesus came to like refugee poor family, blah 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 blah. I think Jesus is now like in the almost dead, raggedy churches that don't have any people in it, and so like that. And Jesus like hanging out somewhere in there, like cleaning the toilets, and then the churches that's all like blowing up with smoke screens and whatever things they do, smoke machines and breakdancing and all whatever like those, and they're like, "Yeah," and it's like a big concert. Like Jesus is like, I never knew you suckers. That's what I think at this point. That's how I feel, man. I feel like it can't. It's comical. I can't even stop laughing. I went from rage to hilarity. It was now just like if a person like I had a person wrote me the other day, and because I used to be a pastor on like LinkedIn and stuff, people just they don't even read. If they read my stuff, they would know that I'm the wrong person for them to reach out to. But they see I used to be a pastor, so they assume that they are the dominant, meaning definition of what a Christian is. So they'll be like, "Hey, you're just the guy that I want to reach out to." And the other day, this guy wrote me about something called the 1916 Project instead of the 1619 Project. And it was the 1916 Project, and it was against Planned Parenthood, and he was just like telling me, like writing me saying, yeah, basically it's this like group, and he's like, we're not telling a lot of people yet, but we're gonna come out against like, we're super pro-life and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, and this dude didn't even read my profile, man. He just saw Reverend and was like, oh, he must be a bigot too. And then just went straight at it.
So, we were taught, you were mentioned earlier about how do we see the commonalities among people instead of always pointing at the low hanging fruit is picking out differences. And so
Right.
it's a matter of of figuring out what we what we have in common. It just seems like there's no one trying to actually come together. People are actually entrenched into positions. And
Hmm.
this meeting that we both attended yesterday seems like it was kind of towards gearing towards that. How do we bridge these? How do we intervene so that we're bringing fighting groups together?
Yeah. I mean, I think the fundamental intention of what we were trying to go for is like, distribution of power among the people. Because what happens is a lot of people give up their power and they invest it into the personality of some person. And then they just sit back and wait and hope that person does the right thing. And that's just pathetic. At this point, I mean, anyone who's been alive and is older than 10 years old should know that it does not work. Like we have to figure out how to be more grounded in our own capacities to imagine better ways of relating. But we're all just like, not all, I can't say I, because I'm not like that. You're not like that. The people I work with aren't like that. But it's a lot of us, sadly, who just have been very like enculturated. I don't know what our problem is. All I know is it doesn't work. It's not going to work. It never has worked, and we got to do something different. We have to stop being like these. Like I can't think of a better word than pathetic. It's like we're so pathetic when it comes to like stepping up to ourselves, into ourselves, and speaking from our truth and from our experiences. We're always managing, trying to figure out what somebody else thinks, and managing disappointment and scared of getting hurt. It's just like weaklings. To some degree, I'm just like, why are we even bothering coming outside? Because it's like, and I don't want to sound like a jerk, but it's like time and time again, you see like people who just feel powerless. And it's like, and they invest so much energy into being powerless. Like it's almost like it's their job to feel like diminutive. And I don't understand it because you get like, it's just like when you watch a movie and it's like one bully and he's got like 10 people following him and they're all picking on one person and all of them know this guy's a jerk. And they could just say, hey, man, we're not going to hang out with you. You're a jerk. And then that guy would be powerless. But instead, 10 people are afraid that one bully is going to give them a bad nickname. So then they just like, well, I don't want him to give me a nickname. I guess I'll just sit here and suck my thumb. It's like, what? It's like, it's so, and I used to try to defend these people and protect them and try to like step up and like encourage them. But then it's like I look back and they just go right back to being weak. So I'm just like, well, that was a waste of time. So now I'm trying to just find people I'm not trying to find anybody. I'm just living my life. And if I run across people, I'm a broadcast and like obviously invite people to step into their power, but that's their choice. You know what I mean? Or maybe it isn't their choice, but I'm gonna put it out there because I need to stay in my integrity. But my expectations, I have none. I just put it out there and then see what happens.
Well, the one size fits all approach really doesn't work. I think, it's a
Yeah.
matter of segmenting and, whenever there's like a government or an organization that's trying to, hear all voices or bring all people to the table, it still ends up being kind of this top-down driven approach by the dominant culture. And so like this committee that was being set up by the city government to hear uh, diverging divergent voices from marginalized people. It's still they were sort of empowered, but at the same time, well, if we like your idea, we'll take it. If we don't like it, we'll push it aside. And so, if you're going to empower a group to provide expertise or advice to an elected official group of elected officials or appointed officials or whatever, better be ready to listen to them and then adopt what they have to say, because otherwise, why
Yeah.
bother? Why bother?
Yeah. But I think I hear what you're saying. And I think that the people have to be able to ground themselves in their own power. Like nobody can empower another person. You can like from my perspective, I'm just telling you, hey, you're powerful. Like they have to believe it. I'm not making them powerful by telling them they're powerful. I try to tell somebody this, I use this analogy. It's like every person is left an inheritance of like 10 million bucks. But some people got the memo and some people didn't. So the people who didn't get the memo, they're just walking around thinking they're poor. And some people who did get the memo, but know that other people didn't, they go, oh, they don't know they're rich. Let me go steal their money because they don't even know they have it. So it's not like they're going to be missing anything because they don't even know they have it in the first place. And then some of us are like, take our investment and try to go and like use that investment to go tell other people they're rich and say, listen, you're rich, bro. You're rich. Stop falling for this thing. Like this dude's scamming you. This people are scamming you, and if they wake up, they'll go, oh crap, I'm powerful. If they don't wake up, what are you gonna do? That's how I look at it. It's like nobody. I have no reason to feel powerful at all if I use the world's standards, like the story that the world told me about. Basically, I was born. I was like, "Hi, I'm Pedro, and I believe." And they're like, "You suck." That's what I show you suck. And it's like, what? What did I do? You're born the filthy sinner. You're trash. You're black. God doesn't love you. I mean, it's like it just like from the jump, man. It was like bashing. But then I just started being like, oh, these fools are insecure and they're lying. And then I stopped believing them. And no one told me to stop believing them. They just acted like jerks, and I stopped believing them. And so many other people, they keep believing anyway. It's a miracle. Like they just keep there's like no matter how many times they get disappointed, they have gambler's fallacy. So it's like a slot machine, and they put all their money in it, and they think they do a win, and they just keep putting on the next one's gonna hit, the next one's gonna hit, and then next they're empty, and then they don't have nothing, and then instead of saying I was stupid and I put all my money in a slot machine, they go, if I only had another quarter, I would have made it, and then they die impoverished. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, I think the other conflict that comes up is how much, how much is the sort of the dominant groups going to give up to the few, or to those who are lesser. And to me, that's another one of the big challenges that is tough, because it's all sort of allocation. You mentioned an allocation of scarce resources, and you know, if we're going to, for example, in the case of lower cost housing in Boulder, what are some options? Well, one option is to allow developers to build taller buildings beyond 55 feet. So how
Right,
do you think that's
right,
going to go over? Probably not that great. And
right.
so people value their view of the mountains more than little Ichiro who's bussing tables at the sushi joint, right? And so
Yeah.
the other, like they did in Minneapolis, they did away with the low density, low R1 residential districts. How do you think that's going to go over here in Boulder? I don't think that's going to go over very well at
Yeah,
all.
I mean, it probably won't. But the thing is, like, um, people, I think that's a good question because, like, well, I'm not supposed to talk about it, but I'm going to be in this thing, and not in Boulder,